Listen, I'm going to give you guys a poem, and it's supposed to take about 7 or 8 minutes, if I do it right. And this is stuff that took place maybe 150 years ago. But human nature hasn't changed that much, and really what it is a love story. How does my hair look?
Looks fantastic.
So I'm going to start. Before I do maybe I ought to explain that the name of the poem is Ostler Joe. An ostler over in England, that's a hostler. A guy that took care of the horses at the hotel, at the inn. In the country where there wasn't a very big town, they called it an inn. And he was the one that rubbed the horses down and took care of them. And that's what the Ostler Joe. I stood at eve when the sun went down, by the grave where a woman lied, who had lured men's souls to the shores of sin, with the light in her wanton eye, who sang the song the sirens sang to the treacherous lordly heights. Her face was as fair as a summer's day, but her soul was black as the night. Yet a blossom I fain would pluck today in the garden above her dust, not the languorous lily of soulless sin, nor the blood-red rose of lust, but a sweet, white blossom of holy love that grew in that one green spot in the arid desert of Farney's life, where all is parched and hot. 'Twas in the summertime, and the blossoms were aglow with blue and red, and Joe, the ostler at the Magpie, and fair Annie Smith were wed. Plump was Annie, plump and pretty, with the faces fair as snow, and he was anything but handsome, was the Magpie's Ostler Joe. But he won the winsome lassie. They'd a cottage and a cow, and her matronhood sat lightly on the village beauty brow. Sped the months and came a baby, such a blue-eyed baby boy. Joe was working in the stables when they told him of his joy. It had been his life's ambition, and he told his horses so, that the fates might send a baby that would bear the name of Joe. So little Joe the child was christened, and as children grew apace, in his mother's eyes of azure and his honest father's face. Quick the happy years went over, years of blue and cloudless sky. Love was lord of that small cottage, and the tempest passed them by. Then down the lane by any cottage chanced a gentleman to roam, and he caught a glimpse of Annie in her bright and happy home. Thrice he came and saw her, sitting by the window with her child, and he nodded to the baby, and the baby laughed and smiled. So at last little Joe grew to know the gentleman, and once in childish play pulled him in. And what little Joe had prayed for brought about his mother's sin. 'Twas a woman weak and wanton, and a villain's tempting tongue. 'Twas a picture deftly painted for silly creatures' eyes, with that of Babylonian wonders and the joy that within lies. She was promised wealth and splendor, and a life of gentle sloth. Yellow gold, her child and husband, and the woman gave them both. Home at eve come Joe the ostler with a cheery cry of wife, finding that which blurred forever was the story of his life. She had left a silly letter, and through the cruel scrawl he spelt. Then he sought his lonely bedroom, joined his horny hands and knelt. "O Lord, forgive her, for she's not to blame," he cried. "I should have seen her troubles and gone away and died, but a girl like her, God bless her, 'twas good of her to bear with me this long and happy time. So for my sake, Lord, please bless her, though you count her deed a crime. When if it be I don't pray proper, forgive me. For you see, I can talk all right to horses, but I'm kind of strange with thee. Ne'er a line come to the cottage from the woman who had flown, and Joe, the baby, died that winter and left the man alone. But he, in silence, kissed the rod, saving what he told his horses, saving what he told his God. Far away in mighty London, rose from wanton into fame, and for her beauty won men's homage. And she prospered in her shame. Quick from lord to lord she flitted, still each higher prize she won, till her rivals paled beside her, as the stars beside the sun. Next she trod the stage half naked, and she dragged her temple down to the level of the market for the women of the town. And the kisses she had given poor author Joe for naught, with their gold and priceless jewels, arid rubies brought. Went the years with flying footsteps, now her stars at its height. Next the darkness comes on swiftly, and the gloomy turns to night. Broken down in health and fortune, men forgot her very name, till the news that she was dying woke the echoes of her fame. And the papers in their gossip told how an actress lay, sick to death in humble lodging, growing weaker every day. There was one who read that story in a far-off country place. And that night, the dying woman woke and looked upon his happy face. Then once again, those strong arms clasped her as they clasped her long ago, and her weary head lay pillowed on the vest of author Joe. All the past was now forgotten, all the sorrow and the shame. He'd found his long-lost darling, and his wife he now could claim. Of all the grand folk that had known her, one and all had slunk away. He could clasp his long-lost darling, and no man could say him nay. As in death's arms they found her lying. Yes, from his arms her spirit fled, and the tears came down in torrents as he knelt beside her bed. Never once has his love faltered through the long and hallowed life. And the stone above her ashes bears the sacred name of wife. That's the blossom I fain would pluck today in the garden above her dust. Not the languorous lily of soulless sin, nor the blood-red rose of lust, but a sweet white blossom of holy love that grew in that one green spot in the arid desert of Farney's life, where all is parched and hot. Thank you.